The College of Winterhold is one of the many old constructions in this region that spans thousands and thousands of years. Legends speak of the great wizard Shalidor building this fantastic monument out of pure magic, using only a few flicks of the wrist and some magical incantations, one of his greatest successes. The college now stands as a bastion of magical learning, a place where one can study their heart's desire without feeling restricted by the morality of the common populace or the rules and politics of the cities outside. Because of this, many traditional Nords mistrust the college, thinking that the work they do is dangerous and wrong, made worse by the fact that half of the town of Winterhold was absorbed by the earth after enormous waves from the Sea of Ghosts battered the hold relentlessly for days, a fact that most people seem to blame on the training and experiments of the wizards of the college. Today I have found 5 things that you probably didn't know about this bastion of higher learning. Let's get it started. Number 1. At the end of production, time clearly became an issue and some quests had to be discarded and forgotten. See, this game is so huge that there were bound to be missions that were either broken and never fixed, or just straight up left in the shadows hoping that nobody would find them. When you talk to your boy Finnish Jester during the College of Winterhold questline, he will tell you that a few students have gone missing. Not just that, but he'll actually tell you a little bit about them. He'll say that a girl named Yisra was trying to improve her flame cloak spells in the cold. He'll tell you that Tay was practicing illusion spells, specifically calm spells designed to work on skeevers. And lastly, the twins Borvir and Rondi were trying to find ways to improve mead, specifically working on ways to freeze the mead in order to make it taste better. Now, this was a quest that would take you around the area surrounding Winterhold in order to find his missing students. However, the quest never starts, and hence it can never be completed. All that we have left of this quest is basically just the introduction to it in the conversation. What you might not know is that you can actually find them, though it is not that easy. Without a quest marker, finding these people in the middle of the snow is like finding a needle in a haystack, especially so because 3 of the 4 missing mages are actually found in unmarked locations. Yisra can be found alongside the coast of the Sea of Ghosts, literally in the middle of nowhere. You can see the fiery remains of her fire cloak spell gone awry and what's left of her charred corpse. Tay can be found on the secret shrine of Talos on the back of the island where Isgramor's tomb is located. Chances are, you probably found this guy on a previous playthrough but never could explain why he was there and what he was doing, at least not until now. Clearly we can see that his calm spell didn't actually work on the skeevers and that he was devoured alive. Rundi can be found on a makeshift altar southeast of the college, in the middle of a few bluffs close to the sea. It seems like he accidentally killed himself attempting to work with some frost runes, probably exploding himself during the testing. And lastly, we can find Borvir having been assassinated by a bandit inside of Journeyman's Nook, the only one in a marked location in the map. Each of these characters were supposed to have an item that you could loot and bring back to Finis in order to get your reward. Number 2. The college has an unreasonable number of just funky things that I personally find interesting alongside tiny minutiae that you probably didn't know. Let's go through a few, shall we? Tolfdir has heterochromia in his eyes, that thing where your eyes are a different color. If you pay close attention, you will notice that his right eye is brown whereas his left eye is green. The college was actually supposed to have guards, similarly to how all the holds and other places do in order to protect it from, say, a dragonborn stealing stuff that doesn't belong to him. The guards, however, were extremely powerful, having a baseline level of 40, making them extremely deadly early on. Normal guards, on the other hand, level with you up to a max of level 50 to give you an idea of comparison, which means that at a higher level they would balance out, but early on the college guards would just wreck your world. They would wear master robes of destruction and would cast spells like Ice Spike and Ebony Flesh. Below the training ground in the college, there is a chest that you can find if you cheat. Now, typically, you will always find a chest with the items that vendors are supposed to sell directly below said vendor. That's how the game keeps track of their inventory. This one, however, is made for quest items. What makes it so interesting is that every once in a while in the console version of the game, the floor will be bugged out to the point where you can actually access it if you were to crouch at the right location, giving you the ability to evade having to level 100 in Conjuration in order to get the Sigil Stone. This one I think is just a little funny, but I like using Unmooned as a companion, and it can be very difficult to notice this factor because he is always wearing that hood, but If you pay close attention, you will notice that he has a funny looking underbite that adds just a little bit more character to this guy. Mirabelle was actually originally intended to stay alive after the final events of the college questline. We can tell because if we resurrect her with console commands after she dies, she will comment on the events that transpired, we'll get new dialogue options, and we'll even call the Dragonborn the new Archmage. And lastly, after completing the quest Arniel's Endeavor, the character is supposed to disappear forever, possibly even making it all the way where the Dwemer are supposed to be. You get a spell where you can summon him as a shade in order to help you fight. Every once in a while though, you will see his shade living the life in the college as if it never happened. Maybe just a glitch in the game, or maybe Arniel is a ghost now thinking that he is still alive. Number 3. During the questline, you get to fight a special group of creatures called magical anomalies. Now these guys are absolutely no problem to deal with if you fight them early on, but for whatever reason they are impossibly tanky the higher your level is. See, this tends to happen with creatures that level with the Dragonborn, creatures like bosses for example. If you fight MacLeod at level 50, he will be level 55. If you fight him at level 100, then he will be level 110. That is because he will always be 1.1 times the level of the Dragonborn. What you might not know is that the magical anomalies do this as well, but the range of their level up is actually the highest in the game. See, even MacLeod has a cap on how high he can go, his being level 150. That means that he will never be higher than level 150. Magical anomalies do not have this cap. Their level will always be 1.7 times the level of the player. That is a crazy amount. So if the player character is level 100, the anomalies will be level 170. It's insane. Now, their health also increases and scales with the character level without a cap either. So if you happen to be level 100, then the magical anomaly will have 2100 points of health, which is close to what an Elder Dragon has. Keep in mind too that you're not just fighting one anomaly when you do this quest, you're fighting a bunch of them, and man are they fast and hard to hit. See, now the real question becomes, well, technically how high can we make their level? Surprisingly, there's an answer to this. The highest level that the magical anomaly can achieve is level 63,661. This can be made by the player Dragonborn being level 37,448. If for some reason you manage to level up once after that, the level of the anomaly glitches and rotates back to level 1. So if you're already high level and you want to complete the College of Winterhold's quest line, might as well just wait 30,000 more levels before attempting it. It'll make it easier on you. Number 4. Not much is known about the Archmage's backstory, the fellow known as Savas Aren. We know that he attempted to get into the Labyrinthian a while back when he was an apprentice, but it didn't really go so well. At some point in the future, he became the leader of the compound, but other than that, his story is kinda blank. No clue who this guy is or where he came from, whether he has any family or what have you. There is, however, a suspiciously similar entity back in Elder Scrolls Oblivion, a fellow going by the name of Fathis Aren. This guy is much younger looking than the Archmage, but do consider that Skyrim is set about 200 years after the events of Oblivion, and also consider that it has been told to us that elves have the ability to live up to 1,000 years, especially so if they are mages. Now it is interesting because typically when Bethesda gives characters the same last name, it is because they are relatives and parts of the same family. The world is tiny enough in this game that it is just very unlikely that two people would share the same name but not be close in the genealogical tree. The suggestion here being that these two might actually be brothers. Both are Dark Elf wizards and both form part of the Mages Guild. One is young during Oblivion, the other old during Skyrim. Not just that, but both appear to disagree with the stances of the current leadership of the Mages Guild. That being that conjuration magic is extremely dangerous and should be highly regulated, and that necromancy should be forbidden. We know that Savos disagrees with this because necromancy and conjuration magic are welcome in the College of Winterhold, and we know that Fathis disagrees with this because during the Thieves Guild questline you get to infiltrate his tower, and in his tower you can find tons, and I mean tons of Daedra and conjurers. so they both agree on this. It is interesting because according to the lore, at the beginning of the events of Oblivion we had a new leader to the Mages Guild, and that leader recently banned the use of necromancy in the guild. We note that this caused a tremendous amount of wizards to leave the Mages Guild because they disagreed with this stance. It is very much possible that Savos happened to be one of these mages, leaving the Mages Guild in Zerodale and finding his way to Skyrim. His possible brother, on the other hand, distancing himself from the guild by having his own wizard tower and performing his studies away from prying eyes. It is also important to mention that during the College of Winterhold questline, if you talk to some of the NPCs, you will discover that in this world, the magical trait, that being what makes someone a great wizard, tends to be passed through genes. That being that if your father is a wizard and your great-grandfather was also a wizard, then it is very likely that you will naturally develop magical instincts, which makes this theory very interesting to consider. Number 5. Unfortunately, the quest Missing Apprentices wasn't the only mission left unfinished. In fact, it almost seemed like the College of Winterhold took the brunt side of the slap when it came to broken content. In fact, out of the 13 unfinished quests that we have access to in the game, 4 of them are from the college. Though for these ones, the amount of information that we have is severely limited, and most of what we can do is only guess at what would have happened during these quests. Sergius Turianus would have asked the Dragonborn to bring in a filled Grand Soul Gem, however, we know not what the reward would have been, and the quest is broken to the point where it cannot even be started. For Neria's quest, on the other hand, we do have a little bit more. She keeps on thinking that Feralda has it against her and that she is conspiring to end her career. But when we go and actually speak with Feralda, she doesn't even react to Neria's aggressiveness. Neither does she even comment on there being any form of argument between the two. When you talk to Neria, it is basically all she can even talk about. It is very likely that they were scheduled to have a stronger beef together, but part of it was never finished and the quest was left in the dust. Neria would have given you a quest to steal Feralda's research for 100 gold pieces. Source notes indicate that it was also possible for her to have become a potential marriage candidate after you completed this quest. Lastly, there's a quest called Rogue Wizard, a quest you can find only in the data files of the game. It was supposed to be a Radiant quest where the Dragonborn would get out into the world and seek rogue wizards, specifically wizards that had gone crazy or were seeking to do very dangerous magical experiments and needed to be killed. And with the help of console commands, the actual enemies that you would have fought you can also find, wizards named Insane College Wizards. I would like to thank Wyatt Curling, Toby Oliver, Dylan Baker, Casey Bottler, and Derek Miller for supporting me on Patreon at the $25 level. If you would like to support me as well, then please head on over to patreon.com/MrRhexx. Once again, make sure that you click that bell button under the subscription box to receive notifications for my videos. Love you all and see you next time.